o la nombre del cliente si se conoce una fórmula de tratamiento como emprendedor o professional digital.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know is really important to you, especially here in Spain, and that is the essentials of selling your digital knowledge. We're calling those Infoproductos based on this great audio that you share with us. So let's dive into this. You've given us this audio about Infoproductos, and it raises a ton of questions, particularly for your unique situation here in Spain. And what we want to do in this deep dive is cut through all the complexity and give you clear and actionable insights without overwhelming you with too many details. We're going to pull directly from this audio and make sure we're getting at what you need to know about selling your expertise online.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's fascinating is that the audio starts with a very clear definition. They define Infoproductos as basically your knowledge and skills packaged in a digital format. So think online courses, virtual consultations, anything where you're selling what you know online. Got it. So really about delivering your expertise in a way that other people can consume. Digitally,
Right.
Perfect. And one of the most exciting things about this is if what you're selling is 100% digital, you can do it from anywhere. That is a huge advantage. If you're thinking about reaching a global audience from right here in Spain.
It's true. That's the beauty of it, that you can be anywhere in the world and sell your knowledge. It doesn't matter where your clients are. But that does bring up a very important question. For someone in Spain.
Okay. And that is this whole idea of the autónomo.
Yes, exactly. So the audio is very specific. They highlight two main triggers for needing to register as an autónomo. The first is if you have recurring income from your activities.
Okay. So that means that it's not just a one-off thing. You're consistently making money from this.
And the second trigger is if that income exceeds the minimum interprofessional salary here in Spain. So it doesn't matter as much about where your company is registered initially. It really comes down to your personal finances here in Spain.
I see. So even if I make my initial sales through, let's say, a company based outside of Spain, if I'm consistently bringing that money back to cover my costs here, like my rent or my mortgage, my daily expenses, that triggers the requirement to be an autónomo.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like I can use this overseas company as the loophole to avoid my obligations here.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, there's no magic bullet that's going to let you completely escape those Spanish tax requirements.
I got it. Okay. Now, the audio also talks about why an LLC is often recommended for people who are selling these Infoproductos.
Yes, it does. And the reasoning is really compelling. They say that if you're a non-resident and you don't have a physical presence in the U.S., you don't have to pay U.S. taxes, which is a big plus.
Yeah, that's huge.
They also mentioned certain states, like Delaware, New Mexico, and Wyoming in particular, that have really simplified accounting procedures. That can make your life a lot easier. And then the really big one for digital services sold outside the U.S., no VAT.
Okay, so no VAT to worry about.
That's right. So you can see why this is appealing.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. No U.S. taxes, simple accounting. And then sidestepping VAT on these international digital sales. It's like the golden ticket.
It really does sound like a dream come true. But here's the catch.
Oh, there's a catch. Okay, I knew there had to be a catch.
There's always a catch, right? And it comes back to your situation here in Spain.
Okay, tell me.
So the audio makes this very clear. Any significant earnings that your LLC makes will eventually need to be declared on your Spanish income tax if you are a fiscal resident of Spain and you bring that money into Spain.
Okay, so just having an LLC doesn't mean I can avoid my Spanish taxes.
Precisely. You still have those obligations if Spain is where you're living and where you're spending your money.
That makes sense. It's not a free pass.
Yeah, no, it's not a way to just completely bypass the system. You still have to be mindful of your tax responsibilities here in Spain.
All right, so I got the LLC part, but then the audio brings up something really practical, and that is how you get paid.
Right, how do you actually receive the money?
Yeah. They mention Stripe, and they say that starting in January 2023, Stripe has been sharing user information with the IRS.
Yeah, that's a big change, and it's definitely something to be aware of.
So I'm thinking, okay, but how does that affect me in Spain?
That's a great question. And the key takeaway is that if you're using U.S.-based payment processors, like Stripe or PayPal, the IRS might start to see your LLC as having a U.S. connection, even if you don't.
Oh, interesting.
Because these platforms are American companies, and the IRS sees the money flowing through them And they might say, well, hold on a second. This looks like U.S. activity.
I see. So even though I'm not living in the U.S. and I don't have a physical presence there, the fact that I'm using these American payment processors could trigger the IRS.
Exactly. It complicates things. It's not a clear-cut case anymore.
Got it. Okay, so that's a little scary. So what do they recommend as an alternative?
Well, ideally, they suggest having a direct virtual point-of-sale system where your clients pay you directly without going through these American platforms.
Okay. So no Stripe, no PayPal. Find a way to get paid direct.
Yeah, it might be a bit more work to set up.
You're right.
But it could save you a lot of headaches down the road.
Okay. That makes sense. So we've talked about the LLC. We've talked about the payment processing, but then the audio brings up another scenario. They say, what if your Infoproductos business really takes off and you have a ton of turnover? Then what?
Yeah, that's a great problem to have, right? But it does require some different thinking. And in that situation, they suggest looking at Estonia.
Estonia. Okay. Why Estonia?
Well, they highlight a few reasons. First of all, Estonia has lower costs compared to a lot of other European countries. Secondly, you can set up everything online. It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
And third, it's within Europe. So you're dealing with a familiar legal framework, and you have access to the EU market.
Okay. So lots of benefits there, but I'm guessing there are some drawbacks too.
Of course. There are always drawbacks.
Okay. Tell me about them.
So one thing to keep in mind is that there are ongoing accounting and management fees. So it's not completely free. You'll have to pay someone to handle the paperwork.
Okay. And what about the money itself? If I have an Estonian company, can I just spend that money?
That's a great question. And the answer is not really. It's not as simple as just transferring to your personal account. There are tax implications there as well.
Oh.
So you have to be careful and plan accordingly.
So it's not a personal piggy bank. It's more like a business account.
Exactly. That has its own rules and regulations.
Got it. Okay. So now, let's talk about something that a lot of people who sell these Infoproductos do, and that is live events.
Yes. In-person events. The audio has a big warning about this.
Oh, really? Okay, what is it?
Well, the key point is, if you hold a physical event, let's say a workshop or a seminar, you have to declare that income and pay taxes on it in the country where the event takes place.
Oh, I see. So if I'm doing a workshop here in Spain, I need to be registered as an autónomo.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't just do it through my LLC.
It's not that easy. You can't just use the LLC to avoid those local tax obligations. That makes sense. All right, so that's something to keep in mind as you're expanding and offering these live events.
Definitely. Think about the tax implications before you jump in.
Okay. So we've talked about LLCs, we've talked about Estonia, we've talked about live events, but then the audio clarifies something about being an autónomo in Spain and having an LLC.
Right, they say that for Spanish tax purposes, you, as the autónomo, are considered the same entity as your LLC.
Oh, so I can't just invoice myself from my LLC to my Spanish autónomo.
Exactly. That's not going to fly. The Spanish tax authorities, they'll see right through that. They see you as the person behind both of those entities.
So there's no separation, really?
Not for Spanish tax purposes, yeah.
Interesting. But then they say something else that kind of contradicts that.
Well, it's not a contradiction. It's a nuance.
Okay. Tell me the nuance.
They say if you have a company in Estonia, you can invoice your Spanish autónomo from the Estonian entity.
Oh, so there is a separation there.
That's right. The Estonian company is seen as a separate entity from your Spanish autónomo.
Wow. Okay, that's a big difference.
It is, and it can have significant tax implications.
Okay, so now let's talk about VAT.
Right, let's do it. Or IVA, as it's called here in Spain. The audio gives a really helpful explanation of this.
Okay, I'm ready.
So first of all, they explain the difference between B2B, business-to-business transactions, and B2C, business-to-consumer sales.
Okay, so B2B is when I'm selling to another business.
Exactly. And B2C is when I'm selling to an individual customer.
Got it.
And the rules are different for each type of transaction.
Okay, tell me about the B2B rules.
So for B2B transactions with other EU companies that are registered in the ROI, that's the Registro de Operadores Intracomunitarios, basically the registry for VAT registered businesses within the EU, you can generally invoice those companies without adding VAT.
Okay, so if my Estonian company invoices a Spanish company, no VAT.
That's the general rule. Yep.
Okay, what about B2C?
Now for B2C, things get a little more complicated. Because now you're dealing with individual customers, and they're not registered for VAT, so you have to be more careful.
Okay. What do I need to be careful about?
Well, the audio highlights another advantage of the LLC here. If you're selling your Infoproductos directly to consumers in Spain or other EU countries, and you invoice them from your LLC, you don't have to charge VAT.
Oh, So that's a benefit compared to the Estonian company.
Exactly. With the Estonian company, you would likely have to add VAT to those B2C sales.
Okay. So another plus for the LLC.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. And then lastly, the audio touches on Form 347.
Yeah. This is a Spanish tax form that can be a bit confusing. But the main takeaway is that even if your U.S.-based LLC has transactions with various entities, you still need to report those in your Spanish VAT filings.
Okay. But they often balance out to zero, so it's not like I'm paying extra taxes. It's just a reporting requirement.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. And what about as an individual with an LLC? Do I have the same reporting obligations as a Spanish company?
No, you don't. That's an important distinction. As an individual with an LLC, you don't have to file Form 347 in the same way that a Spanish company would.
Oh, so that's good news.
It is. Yeah, it simplifies things a bit.
Okay. So that's Form 347. But then the audio brings up something else that's really interesting, they say, for people who are really killing it with their Infoproductos. They might want to consider changing their fiscal residency. And they give Portugal as an example.
Yeah, Portugal's a popular choice for a lot of reasons.
So why would someone do that? Why would someone change their fiscal residency?
Well, the audio suggests that moving to a country like Portugal could potentially lower your overall tax burden, especially if you're earning a significant income through your LLC or an Estonian company.
Oh, I see. So it's a way to optimize
Yeah.
your tax situation.
Exactly. It's about being strategic with your finances and taking advantage of the different tax laws in different countries.
Okay. So that's a pretty advanced strategy. But it's something to think about if you're at that level.
Definitely. If you're really successful and you're looking to minimize your taxes, then changing your fiscal residency might be an option.
Okay. So to sum it all up, for you here in Spain, you've got to understand your autónomo obligations based on your recurring income. An LLC can be great for international digital sales and for VAT management, but you need to be careful about bringing those earnings back into Spain. And you need to be aware of how you're getting paid. If your business takes off, you might want to think about Estonia. And if you're really killing it, you might even consider changing your fiscal residency. Wow, that's a lot to digest.
It is, but it's important information for anyone who's serious.
Yeah.
About building a successful Infoproductos business.
It is. And it all comes down to your individual circumstances and your goals.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. You have to find what works best for you and your business.
That's great advice. Now, you know the audio mentions that they do live Q&As, so that might be a good resource if you have more specific questions based on your own situation.
Definitely. They can give you more personalized guidance and help you figure out
Right.
the best path forward.
Perfect. I think that's a great place to wrap up. We hope this deep dive has been helpful and has given you a much clearer picture of what it takes to sell your Infoproductos successfully here in Spain.
We hope so.
Yeah. So remember, weigh all these points carefully, do your research, and most importantly, a vendor con inteligencia.